The topic for this broadcast is Revelation's Battle of Armageddon and the 7 last plagues. Now, the 7 last plagues, or what many people think of as the apocalypse, is not a topic that normally makes people feel very good. It is terrifying to imagine the world engulfed in natural disasters, numerous earthquakes, global fires, and volcanic eruptions everywhere. Will the world be engulfed in the war of Armageddon? Will our TV screens be filled with images of conflict, strife, and famine? Will there be unprecedented world financial collapse, or possibly will there be a global international conflict? By contrast, we read the Gospels and we see the love of Christ in ministry and dying for a lost world. And it is difficult to harmonize these plagues with the love of God. Could a loving God afflict people with sores and turn rivers into blood? We believe the Bible, and specifically the book of Revelation, has the answers. That is why our theme for these broadcasts is, if it is in the Bible, I believe it. If it disagrees with the Bible, it is not for me. First, wouldn't we expect that if these cataclysmic events are coming, that God would give a clear warning first? Wouldn't God give a last day message before the plagues fall? Revelation 14 verse 6 and onward reads as follows. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people. Friend, God's last day message flies to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. God in love sends a message of salvation, the gospel, to every single person on earth. And I continue reading the text, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and springs of water. Now, friend, notice this last message leads men and women everywhere to worship who? The Creator. Revelation 14 verse 7 calls us to worship the Creator. Now, friend, has the Creator left us a symbol that he has created the world? What is the symbol that we worship the Creator? You and I learned in a previous broadcast that it is this Bible 7th day Sabbath. And here is a call to all humanity in the judgment hour to worship the Creator by remembering the memorial of his creation, namely the Sabbath. Verse 7 talks about true worship. Verse 9 talks about false worship. Let's read it. Revelation 14 verses 9 and 10. Then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand. Now, friend, notice there are two worships. There's the true worship, worshipping the Creator. And then there's the false worship, worshipping the beast. Now, Revelation predicts a final conflict over true and false worship. Revelation 14 verse 7 calls us to worship the Creator. Revelation 14 verse 9 calls us to not worship the beast. And the great conflict in the last days of Earth's history is not a struggle in the Middle East. It is not a struggle in Jerusalem as an example. The great conflict in the last days of Earth's history is a struggle within the human mind. The great battle is a battle for the soul. It revolves around the issue of worship. The great battle in Revelation is a battle between Christ and Satan for your mind. It has to do with a test of loyalty. It is a battle between Christ and Satan for your loyalty. It is a battle between Christ and Satan for your allegiance. It is a battle between Christ and Satan for your worship. This is what the final battle is all about. It is similar to the crisis Daniel's friends faced in their day. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, commanded worship of the image he set up, or else face death. and Daniel's friends had to choose between following a substitute counterfeit of divine truth or boldly declaring their allegiance to God and suffer the wrath of the king. Now the same test will come again in the future. Revelation 15 verse 1 reads, "Then I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them the wrath of God is complete." Now friend, what is the wrath of God? Is God's wrath his anger? God's wrath is not his anger at sinners. It is his judgment upon sin. I want to repeat that. God's wrath is his judgment on sin. God's love is everlasting. When people reject the warning message and begin to persecute God's people, threatening them with death if they don't follow the popular religious movement of the day, the wrath of God, in other words, his judgment on sin, falls upon them. Wind, rain, fire and storm, the judgments of God fall on this world. Now what about the timing? What is the sequence of these last day events? Friend, let me list them now. Number 1, the worldwide preaching of the gospel. First, God has a worldwide message, the preaching of the gospel which goes to the ends of the earth. And this gives every human being an opportunity to make a final choice for or against Christ. Number 2, all humanity makes a final eternal choice. Number 3, the mark of the beast is enforced in a final conflict over worship. Number 4, God's loyal people lovingly obey him. Number 5, the 7 last plagues are poured out. Number 6, Christ delivers his people. So the gospel is preached and all humanity makes a choice. Now what brings about that choice? Let's look at Revelation 15 verse 8. No one was able to enter the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were completed. Jesus in his final work enters that heavenly temple. And in his final work, Jesus makes a final decree that we read of in Revelation 22 verse 11. He who is unjust, let him be unjust still. He who is filthy, let him be filthy still. He who is righteous, let him be righteous still. He who is holy, let him be holy still. Friend, how many classes will there be? 2 classes. And what are they? The righteous and the unrighteous. The holy and the unholy, the pure and the impure. There is no middle ground then. Many people today kind of hesitate and waver. They have 1 foot in the church and 1 foot in the world and delaying to make a choice. But the final crisis that is coming upon our world will lead men and women to make one of 2 decisions, completely for Christ or completely against Christ.